Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to play a game. And if you all know what I'm talking about, I mentioned it in the previous video, I'm going to mention it here. The Chicago Bulls roster has been something at this current time to discuss for a long period of time. Are some of these players actually good enough to be with the Chicago Bulls next season? What we're going to do is go through every single player in our Chicago Bulls team at this current time, and we're going to give an opinion on whether we should trade, waive, or keep. Let's do it. What's up, everybody? It's the Aidan Sports Show. Welcome back to another video. This is going to be a little game that I thought I should put onto this channel, a little bit of an interesting take on the Chicago Bulls at this current time. And the game that I like to call is keep, waive, or trade. We would go through every single player on the Chicago Bulls roster and we decide, or at least I will, and I'd love for you guys to play along in the comments below, whether we should keep the player, we should trade the player, or we should waive the player. So before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Aidan Sports Show YouTube channel. Turn notifications on. And of course, let me know in the comments below which players would you trade, which players would you keep, and which players would you waive. In the end, this is not going to be a disrespectful video. I'm not going to come out and say people are absolute garbage, but sometimes the Chicago Bulls have a certain amount of a level of standards that we need to live up to. And unfortunately, some of these players do not fit that cut. But some players do have that potential, and other players just borderline have trade value that we could potentially use to get other pieces into this team. So without further ado, man, let's go into a few of the players right now. And the first player that I do want to talk about is Chandler Hutchison. This is going to be a list from the Safari searching, of course. We're going to go in order from back to front. So it starts off with Chandler Hutchison. Chandler Hutchison, a Bulls potential player that we've given a lot of time and effort towards to see if he can develop. He's developed, in my opinion, into more of a leader type role that gives a lot of hard work and effort off of the bench than someone that we could rely on as a scoring option, in my opinion. I don't think Chandler Hutchison is a good scorer. I think he misses a lot of shots. But not only that, he does miss a few layups around the ring. But it's not really about the scoring for me with Chandler Hutchison. He reminds me a little bit of a defensive-minded player. Like he's truly a defensive-minded player, in my opinion. He's come out with questions and answers saying he wants to be one of the league leaders in steals. He wants to be #1 in interceptions. He wants to be a defensive player. And in my opinion, with Chandler Hutchison, I think this is a fairly straightforward one. I think we should keep Chandler Hutchison on this team. There is still so much room for this young player to grow, and there's no reason for trying to trade a player like this at the moment, where we are currently going through a stage where we need our players to grow. This player, Chandler Hutchison, is going to be, in my opinion, a beast off of the bench and could end up maybe taking that starting role very, very far down the line. But at this current time in this season, I don't see the Chicago Bulls wanting to trade Chandler Hutchison, and I don't see them ever trading Chandler Hutchison this season. In my opinion, he is a keeper. That's the first one down. We've got one keep. Let's see if we can keep it going. Next up, we're going to talk about Luke Kornet. We just recently acquired this player from the New York Knicks. Had one good season under us. It wasn't bad, I guess. He made a few shots. He had a lot of opportunities. But overall, it's a little bit of a divisive opinion if you want to keep, trade, or waive Luke Kornet. Now, definitely, I don't think a waive is the right way to go here. I'm not going to waive Luke Kornet. There's clearly value in this player. Otherwise, the Chicago Bulls shouldn't have invested in him in the first place. However, is he going to be I guess you could say, the main backup for Wendell Carter? I don't see that being the case either. However, if there is an injury, which there is most likely to be with Wendell Carter, you can only have one center in Daniel Gafford if you decide to trade Luke Kornet. And in my opinion, the question is, who would you rather play at center, Luke Kornet or Cristiano Felicio? And in my opinion, I would keep Luke Kornet. I would keep him. Absolutely, I would keep him. In my opinion, he will be that player that comes basically that comes in for in case there's an injury, and there will most likely be an injury. I mean, if history is going to repeat itself, Luke Kornet will be playing next season recovery minutes, most likely for the likes of Gafford and Wendell Carter. And all season, this season, he has been given the chance over Daniel Gafford. But obviously, once Daniel Gafford came in, that spot was his, and I don't think anybody's going to take that away from him. In my opinion, he is a definite keep just for injury backup. Or unless we could get someone that is better at that position, then I do recommend trading. But I am going to say keep for now. Next up, we've got Shaquille Harrison. Shaquille Harrison. I think a lot of Bulls players love this player. Obviously, he brings a lot of aggression and defensive tenacity. He does bring a lot of pace into the team as well. He loves to have a run out. There was a game against the Pistons. I'll never forget this game, man. I think he dropped like 29 or like 30 points or something like that. And he basically won that game for us single-handedly. There's always been elements and bits of Shaquille Harrison that we do like. And I do see this being a keep as well. I'm going to keep Shaquille Harrison. I don't know why we do need to trade him. I do think he's a player. I think he needs to be sent to the G League, to be honest, and let him develop from there, because sitting on the bench for us the entire season, not getting any minutes, will not do anything for his confidence. I do think the lad needs to play, and I do think he could be a potential backup that we could have. And besides, there's not real much trade value out there, and I don't see the value in waiving a player like that will come in when his name is called upon, and he will give us a lot of effort and tenacity and the willingness to compete for his position. And he's been doing that so long for us. So I do see this being a keep for the Chicago Bulls. And so far, we've gotten all keeps at the moment. Very interesting. Let's see if we can keep that going. In my opinion, man, Shaquille Harrison, a lot of people really rate this guy. So I feel like Chicago Bulls fans will it won't be too sad because he's not a main player for the Chicago Bulls, but he's definitely someone that I do think people can get behind because he loves the hustle. And Chicago Bulls fans, we're known for the grit, the hustle, the determination, the sacrifice to give everything to this city. And I think Shaquille Harrison does that for us. Next up, we've got Thaddeus Young. Now, this is a very interesting one because Thaddeus Young is a player that I think most teams in the NBA would really like to have on their team. He's a hustle player. He does everything for a team. He can defend, he can shoot, he posts up, he passes, he dribbles. He does the whole lot for a lot of teams, and I think a lot of teams would want to keep him. However, there has been trade rumors for so long about a player like Thaddeus Young because he's not satisfied with being a bench player for us. Now, I'm in the prime. My prime opinion is if a player does not want to be here, then he should not be here. I've done this with all of my teams. Every video that I will ever say, if a player comes out or is rumored to be a trade because he doesn't want to be here, because he's not satisfied, then my opinion, unless we can change his mind, there's no reason to keep him. So this is going to be the first trade that I would give. It has to be Thaddeus Young. I would say we need to trade Thaddeus Young unless he comes out and says he's happy playing for the Bulls. He hasn't really said that, so I don't know where the Chicago Bulls would go from there. But there's a reason why trade rumors are still persisting with Thaddeus Young. There's clearly something going on here that does not suit his liking. We don't suit his game style. But in the end, this is definitely a player that I can see the Chicago Bulls trading. And I would trade him because he doesn't want to be here. I don't want anybody that does not want to be here. And in the end, that's where I think we should go with Thaddeus Young. Next up, we've got Cristiano Felicio. This guy's been on the team forever, and it feels like there's always 1 year left on his contract, but I think this year is going to be the last year of his contract. Now, a lot of people will say we should trade Cristiano Felicio, and I would say if we trade Cristiano Felicio, the only way we're going to get anything back for Cristiano Felicio is we have someone on a similar contract than him. So if you're going to say trade Cristiano Felicio, you're going to get the exact same type of contract in return. You're not going to get someone on a $1 million deal. That's not how it works. And plus, I don't think there's any trade value for Cristiano Felicio. So it's between keep and waive. And do you want to waive and basically give this player $19 million all at once and just say, off you go find another team? And I guess it's all up to the Chicago Bulls or whether they want to do that. In my opinion, just for the financial reasons I've said, like giving $19 million to a player and off you go is not exactly an ideal situation for the Chicago Bulls, who are already going to be in financial difficulties due to this entire virus situation. So I would say we have to keep Cristiano Felicio. I know that's a very, very big statement to make, but in the end, I just don't see how the Chicago Bulls would trade or waive Cristiano Felicio, because you're just going to get the same value in return, and I don't think the value will be anything that is the Chicago Bulls related. If we could get something for a smaller contract, I say do that trade, but I don't see where we would offer that. It's just not. It's not where I see the Bulls going, unfortunately. So I do think keeping him, I'd rather him be on the bench and not play than just get rid of him in case we have two centers that are injured, which I believe it did happen at one stage, and then we're back to square one, aren't we? We're not going to have a backup to the backup. I do think he's not bad, but he's very, very overrated, over contract for sure. Next up, we've got Tomas Satoransky, the point guard, the starting point guard for the Chicago Bulls. Obviously, his place got taken away with Coby White developing the way that he did, and a phenomenal season for Coby White. Tomas Satoransky was rather disappointing as the starting point guard. He left from Washington to come to Chicago to become a starting point guard and to finally develop into that role, into that leadership status that he thinks that he has, and I'm sure all Bulls fans believe that he has. He's 27 years old, I believe, and this is his 4th season or something like that. So he's played a lot of basketball, not all of it in the NBA. Now, overall, in my opinion, you have to keep Tomas Satoransky. He's a very versatile player. Obviously, he should not be a starter. I think everybody can agree he should not be a starter for the Chicago Bulls. But you need to be realistic and say that this, at the end of the day, it's a player that can play through 1 through 3. It's a player that could get a pass, an assist. He can be aggressive at times. If he was off of our bench, I would say we had a very good point guard on our hands that would contribute very, very well. But he shouldn't be starting. I don't think he suits Zach Lavine very well. I don't think he suits the starting point guard very well. We need a point guard that is willing to take over games, that controls the tempo, that actually is very aggressive, and we don't see enough out of that. Satoransky is 6'7". He could shoot the ball. He could shoot over people. If he was just a little bit more aggressive, instead of averaging 10 points a game, average maybe 17. Oh my goodness. What a perfect player for the Chicago Bulls. But in the meantime, I'd say keep him and put him on the bench. That's where I see his role being. I think he's on a good contract with us as well. It's not like he's making a load of money. So I do see this being a potential player that we can end up keeping on our hands. Next up, we've got Denzel Valentine. Denzel Valentine, that's a difficult one, because I personally really, really rate Denzel Valentine. But again, it's not working out with the Chicago Bulls, is it? He's always injured, and when he does play, his inconsistencies are the most frustrating thing in the world. There was a game where he had 30 points and he didn't miss a 3-point shot, and he was cocky, he was celebrating, and you know that the Denzel Valentine confidence. He has confidence, of course. Every NBA player should have confidence. He exemplifies confidence. But then the next game, he can score 0 points. And that exactly is the difference between what a good bench player to a potential starter could be and what a role player is. You need to contribute on a nightly basis. Denzel Valentine has all the skills to become a very good NBA basketball player. He can pass. He's a fantastic passer, a very underrated passer. In my opinion, a team like the Warriors would kill for Denzel Valentine. He can shoot the ball. He's a very good shooter. He's a spot-up shooter. He's a good off the pick and roll, but he just doesn't show it enough. In my opinion, Denzel Valentine, he's a small forward, a position that the Bulls are trying to fill with Chandler Hutchison as well. And we're going to probably draft Denny or Obi Toppin, who could potentially be a small forward option. I think this is the time to trade Denzel Valentine. I think he does have trade value, and I don't know if it's going to work out for the Chicago Bulls. A big weakness for him as well is his defense. So I think this is a player that we do need to trade. Let me know in the comments below. That is another trade that we could potentially be looking at for the Chicago Bulls. Next up, we've got Aidan Markkanen. The Frenchman, who's been playing a lot of time in the G League, and he did have his chance with the Chicago Bulls this season, and I believe he didn't do too badly. He came in, I believe, against the Mavericks, and he lit them up. Again, he is a prospect. He is a player that if you give him enough time and you spend enough time to work on him, very similar to a Chandler Hutchison, he could develop into a very good role player for the Chicago Bulls that could come in and contribute off of the bench. And I don't see why the Chicago Bulls should trade this player or waive this player. I mean, we could. We did something like that. With a bunch of players, really. So we've given them G League opportunities and they've not lived up to it. So this could potentially be an ideal situation for Aidan Mokoka, but we just signed him last season for I think it was a 2-year contract. Again, let me know about that. I'm not really sure. So why should we trade him or waive him? I say keep him and let's see if he can live up to the faith that the Chicago Bulls gave into him and gave him a contract. That's very interesting as well. Next up, we've got Otto Porter Jr. He's making $27 million this year. However, it's his last year of his contract. So I don't think trading him will do anything for us unless there is a player that we could get that's better than Otto Porter. Otherwise, there's seriously no point in trading this guy. We're not going to waive him. We're not going to give him $20 million, off you go. You know, we're not going to do that. There's no chance that the Chicago Bulls do that, or like a buyout or something like that. There's no way the Chicago Bulls will do that. In my opinion, Otto Porter is a keep. He could be a very important asset for the Chicago Bulls this in the next season or following into the offseason into next season. He could potentially be a player that could still start for the Chicago Bulls. He could definitely be a player that comes off the bench. He's a good shooter. He gives us everything, really. Defense, shooting, he can run, he can finish. He was the 3rd pick, I believe, in his draft class. There's clearly something in there that the Chicago Bulls are looking for. And that's why we got him on. We traded for him. So yeah, I see Otto Porter being a player that we do keep. Again, we got him fairly recently, so I don't see a reason why we should give up on him. So yeah, let me know about that one in the comments below as well. We've also got next up the center that everybody loves to talk about, Wendell Carter Jr., the man that wants to go to the power forward position, has been averaging, I think it was a double-double nearly until he got injured. He had 17 double-doubles. Wendell Carter, this is fairly simple for me. It's keep. You have to keep Wendell Carter. Absolutely. This guy's been sensational for his 2 years. The problem is his injuries, and his injuries do really, really stifle us because I don't feel like we had, at least until Daniel Gafford, a very good center that could replace Wendell Carter. Wendell Carter's so essential to our team, and I do think he'll get better next season as well. He's been hyping himself up a lot, so we're going to have to give him that backing. The Chicago Bulls, I don't think anybody hates Wendell Carter. I don't think anybody thinks he needs to be traded. He's on a very good rookie contract for us. I think another 2 years with us he will have as a rookie contract. So it's a perfect deal. It's a perfect player to keep for that price. And in my opinion, this is a clear and obvious keep. Maybe 2 seasons down the line, if I make this video again, there's a potential to talk about a trade. But not now, man. You got to keep him. Next up is Kris Dunn. Kris Dunn. The man that was, I believe, 2nd in steals, had a great season for the Chicago Bulls. The most underrated player, in my opinion, that the Chicago Bulls have. And he was starting a small forward for a lot of those games. Very interesting, Kris Dunn. I think at the start of the season, everybody said, let's trade Kris Dunn. The guy has trade value. A lot more trade value than I think he had at Minnesota. The guy has trade value now. He is a perfect mentality I would love at the Chicago Bulls, and that's why I do like this player. Is he worth keeping, though? Big question. Is he worth keeping, though? To me, the answer is absolutely. He is worth keeping because, again, he's very versatile. He doesn't just play the point guard position for us. The offense is a very big struggle, in my opinion. The offense is where Kris Dunn needs to improve because defensively, the guy is very, 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 very good defensively. And I think a lot of plays he can lock down in the NBA. But offensively is where his struggles lie. I remember two seasons ago, he was having a great offensive year. He was making mid-ranges, three-pointers. He was finishing on the rim. He was crafty. He beat opponents with intelligence and not necessarily speed. And he is a good player, in my opinion. I don't know what his contract situation is like. He's one of those players where I don't know much about his contract situation. But I think we should keep Kris Dunn. That's going to be very controversial. I feel like a lot of people will say, let's trade Kris Dunn because he does have trade value. He's a good player. In my opinion, I definitely think he could suit what Arturius, the head coach, he does bring that tenacity and grit that the Chicago Bulls love. Same with the player going next, which is Ryan Arcidiacono. Oh, this one is tough because honestly, I've said keep to every point guard. So is Ryan Arcidiacono good enough to be a Chicago Bull? The thing with Ryan Arcidiacono is he doesn't get a lot of minutes, so his stats don't really rectify his presence on the court. He's a good defender, Ryan Arcidiacono. He does love a good hustle play. Everybody remembers that dive in front of Jim Boylan. Was one of the best highlight plays of our season. I don't know if he's worth keeping, though. I think he needs to be more aggressive. He's a good shooter, Ryan Arcidiacono, but so are most of the players in the NBA. He's a very good shooter. He's definitely good off the corner shots. He just isn't aggressive. I don't know. In my opinion, I say because he just re-signed, I don't know why the Bulls would trade him, but in the end, that could potentially be something that the Chicago Bulls could do. I would trade Ryan Arcidiacono. That's my overall stance on the matter. Hopefully no one assaults me on in the comment section about that. But again, any opinion is welcome. If you guys really think Arcidiacono has a place on the Bulls, then I'd really like to know. Give me some reasons why. I've seen a lot of Chicago Bulls games. Of course I have. I've seen pretty much every Chicago Bulls game this season. And I know what Ryan Arcidiacono brings, but I just don't know if he even plays enough to get into this team anymore. If we do get another point guard, or if we do play Coby White, we do keep Shaq Harrison, who also won't play enough, and then we have Cristiano Satoransky on the bench, he's not going to get any game time. So maybe we trade him for an asset that we probably do need coming off of that bench. If Thaddeus Young gets traded, we might trade Ryan Arcidiacono to get that power forward off the bench. Very interesting. Look, I think that is a player that, in my opinion, I can see getting traded sooner or later. Next up, we've got Daniel Gafford. No problems with this one. We're going to keep Daniel Gafford. The guy had a very good opening season. He impressed a lot of people. I believe as soon as he came in, he was leading the league in blocks for minutes played. He's been very, very impressive. He can finish. He has a good soft touch around the ring. He can finish alley-oops. He's very athletic. He also brings a lot of passion. Like, every time he gets a block, he screams. Like, he is definitely a player that I think a lot of Chicago Bulls fans, including myself, like, and do think that he will be good enough in the future to give us something more than just blocks and rebounds. I do think eventually he could become similar to a DeAndre Jordan type player, where we could be throwing alley-oops to him left, right, and center. He'll be making it. And I do think he's a better free throw shooter. So he could be the next DeAndre Jordan. That's the way that I see it, at least. Maybe I'm wrong. But in the end, he's definitely a player that I want to see develop as a Chicago Bull. He needs to be kept. Next up, I think all of these players, coming will probably be kept, by the way. So next up is Coby White. Coby White is a must-keep. I said it in many trade videos. Coby White is a must-keep, and under no circumstances should the Chicago Bulls be looking to find or trade Coby White to anybody unless we get an elite point guard. And I mean top-class point guard. I don't want Coby White going anywhere because I feel like that's the potential that he has for the Chicago Bulls. He could be a top-class point guard. In terms of scoring or assist, or maybe both, he's not the perfect point guard. I agree with that. A lot of people see him as a combo guard. I see him as a combo guard. But he's most likely going to be our starting point guard next year. And after such a great season this season for a rookie, I want to see him develop here. I want to see him grow here. And I want to see if he is good enough to be that starting point guard for the Chicago Bulls. And if he isn't, then we've given our time and development towards him. And I think we need to give him that faith and that backing. There's no circumstance where Coby White gets traded, in my opinion, because it should not happen. It should not happen. We should be keeping Coby White under all costs, unless he physically says he doesn't want to play here. And I'm pretty sure he loves Chicago. So there you go. He has to stay. Next up is Lauri Markkanen, the power forward, who had a fairly bad season last season. I believe this is his last year of his rookie contract, and then he'll be expecting to get paid. He said under many circumstances, he would play elsewhere if the Bulls didn't change their ways. The Bulls changed their ways. The Bulls ended up doing everything to ensure that Lauri Markkanen and Zach Lavine would be kept happy. In my opinion, Lauri Markkanen will sign a contract extension for the Chicago Bulls. I don't know why he wouldn't. I think we've given him a bunch of loyalty and backing. I think a lot of fans really like Lauri Markkanen. And I think he's going to have a fantastic season next season. I think he's going to really step up the game, step up the notch. It's a contract contract's year at the end of the day, the man's going to want to get paid. And I think the Chicago Bulls might have to open up their wallets. I think we should keep Lauri Markkanen. And I'm going to say that there's a lot of keeps in this episode because I do see a lot of these players being young enough and good enough to at least have a role on the Chicago Bulls. Not everybody deserves to get traded, despite what a lot of people might think towards the middle of the season. But there are players out there like Lauri Markkanen that are absolutely must keep and we should be spending money on. Last but not least, we've got Zach Lavine, the shooting guard, had a career season last season, had a very, very, very great offensive season. Efficiency was through the roof, absolutely sensational. Is he a superstar? I think he's definitely all-star caliber. I don't think he's a superstar. I think if we're looking to win a championship, you'd need to have someone next to him that's just as talented, if not more. But in the end, Zach Lavine has given a lot to the Chicago Bulls. He's on a good contract as well. He has 2 years left, I believe. I think Zach Lavine is also a must keep. I don't see why we trade Zach Lavine. All these trade rumors that are coming for the Chicago Bulls about Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, those trades should happen with Zach Lavine as a Chicago Bull. We shouldn't be giving up Zach Lavine for all these players because in the end, that's how we're going to get better. We're going to get better with a superstar next to Zach Lavine. And that's how the Chicago Bulls will grow, and we'll grow it further and further and further. So Zach Lavine for me is a must keep. He definitely deserves his spot as a Chicago Bull. He's the leader. He's the captain. He's the person that people look up to. He's one of the most experienced players on this roster. We have a very young core. There's not many players that have played more than Zach Lavine on our team. If you think about it, if you look, maybe Satoransky has played a little bit more. Obviously not in the NBA. Otto Porter is a player that has played probably a little bit more. But besides that, there's not many players that have played more games in the NBA than Zach Lavine. He is our leader. And I don't see us getting rid of our leader. It's a must-keep for me. But that is going to be the end of this video. If I did miss anybody, let me know in the comments below. And I will probably just leave the comment on what I think about them. I'm sure I got everybody, but there's always somebody probably that I missed. Thank you guys for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. A long video, but this was a fun game, man. I'm thinking about doing this on a yearly basis. If you guys did enjoy this video, let me know. And the next Chicago Bulls video, I'm going to talk about Obi Toppin potentially coming to the Chicago Bulls because I feel like making that Denny video, a lot of people really rate Obi Toppin as well. So I'm going to give my opinion on him very, very soon. Have a wonderful day, guys. Take care and peace.